Hey everyone, I'm Glue. So we've got the last of the spoilers, right? So we can do some proper discussion. If you haven't seen it, right, I did some talk about Evos. They're absolutely broken, right? Base to base. The fact that, again, you can transition from Steel Soul into Sentry and back and forth is just insane. It's a great line in any setup, right? Even though Teklovossen's probably the easiest way to give them go again. You gotta remember, Crank generates action points, right? And then Boost just allows you to look at items. Do they count as items? I don't think they count as items. No, they're equipment, yeah. So you can't make use of Dash's effect, although they're greater anyway. But in Teklovossen, it's busted, right? He's significantly stronger because you can just reuse these effects, and these are all greater than the current meta legendaries, in my opinion, right? And easier to proc to, again, in terms of like the Crown of Providence. Okay, you get one use out of it. You can block with this up to twice. 5 block, significantly greater, and you get the 2 intellect, right? If you're transitioning back and forth. Sorry, 1 intellect off the first proc, and then, which is equivalent to the cycling, right? And then you can transition to Sentry, proc it again, transition back, proc it again. If you get Singularity off, right, and they're all double effects, they're significant. I assume Transform into will proc the effect, right? Because he is an Evo. Yeah, so I don't know. To me, it seems strong even without the core cards like the 2 or more, 3 or more, 4 or more, and I'm really interested to see ruling, right? I mean, depending on how strong they are, the easiest thing they can do is just limit how many you can have in a deck, which would be an interesting concept to see a limited list come out for Flesh and Blood, right? I think it's a bit better than just going straight for erratas or bans, but we'll see, right? I might be wrong. I'm sure there's someone out there with better play knowledge and can explain to me how getting 3 resources repeatedly and still being able to block for 5 is not busted, right? I know you have to pay 4, I know you have to find it, but finding any of these, and even just starting with Cogworks, right? You have 2 resources. If you boost, again, you want to boost in Teklovossen, you want to boost in Dash, you want Cogworks as the base for everyone, right? It's just insane. Because you don't want to break your gear. And then they all also allow you to stack up the cards for Breaker, for the data sets, for not this one, don't worry about the common, and don't worry about the other one, or is it this Energy Matrix? Teklo Blaster, I guess it's kind of nice, but no, right, just stack up again in Blitz, either 4, right, so 2 Evos, Steel Souls, and then 2 Evo Sentry bases into Breaker or the Data Pack. And then in Classic Constructed, add 1. Simple as that. Anyway, we got the Fable. Master Cog, Legendary. You may only have 1 Master Cog in your deck. When this is pitched, you may put a Steam counter on an item you control with Crank. Now I'm curious about that, because Crank is only when it enters the field, right? As it enters, the arena may remove a Steam counter from it. If you do, gain an action point. Yeah, okay. So you can pay 2 off his ability. You gain 1 action point, so that is just go again. I don't think I've seen any Crank abilities that allow you to go positive with the action points. I might be wrong, there might be some, but it doesn't seem like it. It seems like the only way to do it is through system resets, right? Which I can't find because it's misplaced. No, it should be up here. It should be with the Crank stuff, from what I remember, right? System reset. No, I guess we're just typing it in. System resets. Can I just do it like that? I can, perfect. Right, so system reset. Banish X mechanologist items you control with a cost of 1, then return them to the arena under the owner's control. So if you have 2 items with Crank, you play this, okay, they come back, you remove Steam counter for both, you get the action point to make this go again, and then you're floating 1 action point, right? And that's off of 2 items. So if you have many more, you can just use that to generate a bunch of action points to then go into, again, Evos for Dash, right, is probably the main route there. And then with Mechs, right, you're probably just going for the Hyperdrivers and Crank. You're not worrying too much about stacking up the Evos. Again, though, having the Steel Soul or the Sentry will then count towards the cards you can activate for the Breaker set. They don't count towards the damage prevention, but they can count towards destroying a card, right? So it seems like everyone just wants to play Boost. Again, the core breakup being Dash was meant to be Boost, Max was meant to be Crank, Teklo was meant to be Evos. I don't think is the case. I think all 3 of them want a mix of all 3. And it's sad in that scenario, the more I think about it, because the draft is not going to be as diverse as what I think. I think it's still just going to be craft the best deck. If you're Teklo Vossen, you're going to have a much easier time winning, right? Because the Evos are super strong. And while you find one of these, right, just one of them, they'll do it. In draft, I guess it's not so apparent because they are majestic, but you should be able to find a decent chunk of the Sentry set, right? And even just having the Sentry set is a huge amount of block because they don't break, right? This breaks. This breaks. Everything breaks except these. No, sorry, Battle One doesn't break. There we go. But this doesn't break, right? And it still gives you the option to transform into something else because it's base. Anyway, we kind of got off topic, right? So you may put a steam counter on an item you control with Crank, meaning that you just get one extra use to sort of recover the steam counter you lost because of Crank. Again, the big thing is to use it with system reset, Crank, not the master cog. And then we have Symbiosis Shot, same thing. So I think Dash with system reset and Crank is fantastic. Again, allows you then to go into either a huge turn of swings or Evo Soul, right? Especially this one, get the extra cards. Okay, what else do we have? What was I missing? Singularity. We didn't actually properly discuss this. So again, the cost is to have 4 Evos depending on the ruling. 4 could be 4 in one slot or every slot. Every slot seems insanely difficult at that point. Again, you'd probably not play with the 2 or more, 3 or more, 4 or more cards. Maybe the 2 or more, 3 or more, because they still have decent effects, but you wouldn't go for Singularity, right? If the ruling is every Evo in one slot counts, then it's a piece of cake. And right, this is your big comeuppance as Tekla Vossen, and unlike Levia, right, its health total is whatever your health is. So it doesn't matter when you play it. Okay, so we have pay 3, banish 2 cards from your soul, so you can activate this a maximum of 6 times, right? Transform your hero, no, 3 times. 3 times. Where did I get 6? I meant to say 2. 3 times. So hero, weapon, that's 1 combo, 2 Evos, that's 2, 2 Evos, that's 3, right? So you can activate this up to 3 times to do 6 damage. Here's Shadow, just curious, because we have the banish mechanic, but then we also have the soul mechanic now for Shadow. And I would like a ruling that allows you to put Shadow cards in your deck. You just cannot play them unless you get this guy out, right? Because you don't become Shadow until you're the Necropotent, and I think that'd be fun. And again, I like gimmicky decks and I like fun, and as balanced as Legendary Studios are good at, no, that was backwards, as good as Legendary Studios are at trying to make sure things are balanced towards the competitive scene, right? I like things slipping through the cracks and there being a little bit of fun. So give me a ruling that allows me to stick a bunch of Shadow cards so I can explore that and see what goes crazy, right? And then this counts as 4 Evos equipped, so it fulfills the other cards, and your mechanologist attack action cards go again, right? And whenever this attacks a hero, they discard a card. So pay 3, attacks a hero, not hits a hero. So pay 3, your opponent discards a card, sometimes you hit for 6, right? You can do that 3 times. You get any ways to go again, like system reset or anything like that, because it's not once per turn. And you can just have a massive swing turn. Not to mention, block for 6, then 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, right? And again, if the ruling is not individual slots, right, you can still have slots open to have equipment. So I can see arguments for both, right? Again, if it doesn't work that way, if each slot only counts as 1 Evo, I doubt you'd ever go for this. It'd just be way too slow at that point, right? Mainly slow because you still want to run multiple copies, meaning that your chances of drawing the unique pieces goes down. Because the whole idea is, again, you want to really capitalize on Steel Soul, right? This is so huge for mechanologists now, the abilities that you can chain thanks to going back and forth between the gear, right? Okay, what else do we have? I think Adaptive Plating was already there. Hyper is just a straight max set, max legendary, basically. Anything else? I did want to retouch on the expansion slot. These are new, though. Yeah, okay. And we didn't really look at a lot of the rares, but these are, pretty, so why not? Again, I would have liked to see some items in the generic slots, but what can we do? To Crank, this enters arena with a steam counter, same usual thing. Attack action cards get -1 while defending your mechanologist attack actions. Okay, yeah, so that's the other thing. There are a lot of cards in here that are for mech on mech, right? To really just screw mech, being a mech, right? So the majority of set does sort of play off of the draft rather than being cards across the board, which is great because the majority of commons and rares, are underutilized. and they don't really serve a purpose. They now serve a purpose because, again, solely focusing on one class really allows them to narrow it down and knuckle in and make sure that the cards actually work well, right? And aren't just flavorful for the sake of flavorful, like Dusk Till Dawn. So that is good to see. Again, there is going to be some variation in the draft system, but there are a lot of lines where you just want to run, again, everything in everyone, regardless of the hero you are, because you can get significant benefit from all the different actions, right? I mean, your crank is inbuilt to your hyperdriver, so you're not really caring solely about crank, right? So you still want to run boost, you still want the go again, you still want to just be tempo-y, right? Dash, you can look at the top card of your deck, meaning that you can play around boost, right? So you still want to run boost. Then Turkle Vossen, you definitely want to boost your evos, right? And you just want to stack the deck towards evos so you can find them all and just have mad equipment. Okay, anything else? There are so many cards though. I don't really want to go through them all. Mechanologist attack action gets go again. When this hits, put it on the bottom of its own deck. Mechanologist attack action gets overpower. Right, there's just some nice tasteful effects. There's definitely going to be some great concepts coming out. I think, in all honesty, Mech is poised to just shoot up the ladder, and I think there'll be enough also interest in Mech from this set that we might see a season not dominated by Mech, but definitely a higher influence of Mech in the set. And I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, one of them or two of them don't last too long, right, in terms of Living Legend. Okay, but the other thing I want to talk about was this. So we get one reprint, right? I understand sticking in the expansion slot. I don't like the way that it has been presented again, right? It's sort of like the signature arts from Dusk Till Dawn. I think the way things are presented make them look a lot better than what we end up getting, which leads to disappointment, right? And that's not a great feeling to create, especially when you just say, you know, Ferndale Spring Tunic, due to the overwhelming demand and its necessity for play, we've decided to spot reprint it similar to the crown like Dusk Till Dawn. It will be printed with Evo E, right, and in non-foil conditions, something like that. That's all you need, right, rather than sticking in the expansion slot and make it sound like we're going to get more reprints, okay? It's more just preemptive planning, because all we got is this. Lore cards, I am going to assume, are just the cards with text. So we have 1, 2, there's 3, I think, 3, 4. There's 4 lore cards. They can still see play, so their distinction from tournament cards is also kind of stupid to me. And then the tournament cards are just the other cards they chuck in, which all aren't necessarily going to see tournament play, right? Because they're not super powerful cards. They don't fulfill a requirement, right, that the deck has. I mean, Intoxicating Shot, conceptually, works well, right? You want to bait your opponent into attacking so you can trap them. Who's going to fall for that? If you Intoxicating Shot them, they most likely know you have traps on. You can do a double bluff, but then their upside is significantly greater to your downside. Again, you can disqualify the tokens through your traps, but yeah, I don't know. Again, I think it could have been presented a bit better, and I think, again, sticking with the spot reprints was a better idea or notion than presenting the idea like, yeah, you're getting Ferndale Spring Tunic and ... nothing. Okay? Sticking legendaries also is interesting. Again, all the legendaries fit in that back slot, so having them part of the core set doesn't matter. And you can literally just say in the draft experience, well, you can't use them, so you don't want to play with them. Because I think there is the ruling that if you do get a mechanologist legendary, you can, you know, draft it and play with it. Sorry, crack shuffle play with it, or limited it, right? But yeah, so I don't see the necessity for putting things in the expansion slot. I like what's done, the 2-token system, moving cards to the back. I understand these being dead draws, but you've given us not many, and they're all majestic. So just having them in the normal majestic rotation, would that be so bad, right? Because they still wouldn't be that common. I mean, yeah, I understand it being there to, again, ease crack shuffle play, but it seems like this is half-baked, in all honesty, right? So I went from hating it to loving it to now saying it's half-baked. Yeah. Again, I want to see them grow, I want to see them do things better. This whole set, blown away by what they've achieved with Bright Lights in terms of the mechanologist stuff, what they've given us in terms of the expansion slot. I am just underwhelmed from what is presented. Again, these cards are 1 in 15, so it being a small batch is fine to cycle through, to get them all. they're still going to be hard to get playsets if you want them. I assume the legendaries are still going to be harder to get, and well, the lore cards, I would have liked something fanciful, right? I think art cards would have been perfect, something collector, just more majestics. They're just extra majestics in the set. And again, I would have just liked to see, you know, if it's 250 cards, 200 cards go to whatever class, 50 cards go to everyone else, right? That way there's still investment for everyone else. But it is what it is, right? It's still a good concept for them to work on and improve. Just, again, I am sort of disappointed with the level of what we've gotten, right? One card, again, for everyone, like Dusk Till Dawn. It is essentially just Dusk Till Dawn moved to the back of the box. And I wasn't happy with Dusk Till Dawn, right? I like the cards, should have been more of them. Shouldn't have been in a non-draftable set as well. Anyway, yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Mech. Gonna be busted. Might have to give it a go. I'm more interested in just running some mech stuff in Cheyenne, right? And still just playing Melody. But yeah, base to base. Just back and forth. Ping pong it. Broken.